And the number one toxin that's probably aging you on your skin is mold. Mold destroys your keratin and elastin in your skin and ages you rapidly on your skin.
Huh,
And 70% of you
really?
watching this have toxic levels of mold in your home. So this is a big toxin.
70%, 70%. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
they say 50% of homes, 40% of homes have mold, but it's, if you looked at the healthy levels, it's 70% or more of homes, because it's
wow.
mold's everywhere with building, with how we build today.
What if aging isn't about slowing down, but leveling up? I'm Dr. Isaac Jones. This is the Longevity Leaders Podcast. Welcome to the Longevity Leaders Podcast. I'm Dr. Isaac Jones, and this episode is part of our exclusive series recorded at the Exponential Longevity Summit, a global gathering of cutting-edge health experts exploring the edge of human performance, health span, and longevity. Let's get into it.
Welcome. I'm excited to be interviewing non-toxic dad, Warren Phillips. He is an incredible, prolific researcher into environmental toxins. He's had his own, story that has impacted his health and the people around him. And what's incredible is that he's gone from pain to purpose, really understanding the challenges that he was dealing with was related to environmental toxins. And now he's trying to get this, or he is not trying, he's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that follow him on social media, and he'll have millions in the future, to really bring awareness to this whole topic of gerontogens, which are toxins and environmental toxins that drive aging within the body. It's a whole conversation of study. Warren, I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, it's going to be an easy interview because you're easy to smile at and connect with. And you already told me I was good looking, so that we have instant rapport, and we are going to transform some lives here today. This toxicity message, as big as it's getting, it's not getting the fanfare that it should, specifically in longevity medicine and anti-aging. We do all these different outside in approaches, from red light therapy to stem cell, therapy. Longevity Botox is wrapped into that bow somehow too, even though it's a toxin. It's a nasty toxin, and there's some research showing that's probably not in your best interest long term. There's some really exciting, well, for me it's exciting, but let alone the social toxin of not being able to express your emotions and feelings and the aging process, which is beautiful. The further we get away from nature, guys, the faster you're going to age. End of story. We could drop the mic right there. The further away you get from God and nature, the faster you're going to age. And we can give you lots of examples of how that's happening in our body and how it's aging you rapidly. And, I'll pass it back to you, Isaac, or else I'll just roll.
No. I love it. It's absolutely. And I think that there's been a lot of really great presentations in this summit on, really the foundational underlying reasons why we age, and, some of the foundational things that, like security and relationships and connectivity and nature and forest bathing. And, it's just incredible. After some of the interviews, they'll talk about all these incredible longevity strategies and solutions. And they'll be like, hey, by the way, nothing produces more serotonin and dopamine than a hug, or nothing produces more longevity solutions than you walking out into the forest and being in the forest on a regular basis and listening to birds and being out in the natural sunlight, et cetera. So no, I love that. And, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. did this video recently on how many toxins have been passed by the FDA and the USDA that are banned in Europe. They're banned in all these different countries. But there's such incredible amounts of money to be made by these toxins getting out into the American public, that and because of the vested interest of these government agencies, like, they just get out there. And unfortunately, the countries that have banned them for a reason, because it causes cancer. They're carcinogenic. They're gerontogens, which are, toxins that cause you to age rapidly. So what I'd love for you to share is just like, what do you see right now as a big problem? And what are some of the top gerontogens, these age-inducing chemicals and toxins that are we're constantly being exposed to. And I'd love to hear a little bit about Botox and fillers. If you have any insights, sturdy insights into that, I think that'd be good as well.
I probably should avoid that topic because it's too political. That's like talking about some of these other toxins like atrazine and how it's, possibly feminizing our children or dysregulating our children's hormones, and it's in our water. So these are really scary topics, and they are driven, you're right, by big ag, by these special interests. And they have marketers out there. They even have influencers that are counter influencing me saying, "Oh, you can handle it. You'd have to drink, 24 packs of Coke, 50 Cokes to get any carcinogenic effects from this, fake sugar." But the reality is we're having not one toxin, but thousands of toxins. We're not talking about the lethal dose or the carcinogenic dose. We're talking about the bioaccumulative effect. We're talking about the synergistic effect of all these toxins. And let's be clear, with the amount of toxins today, there's no way your body can handle them all. There's no way. You have to eliminate these sources as best you can. You have to detoxify your body. You have to get out in nature. You have to sweat. Sweat shows in the research to release toxins. And even if you're out in the sun, it's like an infrared sauna. It's free, but it also increases it in your bloodstream, so it's going to pass you. If grounding, people call that woo-woo. It's not. It's like an IV of antioxidants to your body. You're discharging these electrical fields onto the ground, right? And plus, it's the antioxidant effect. 15 minutes just once a day will cause a massive increase. Even medical doctors over in Europe, I heard a story because I do a lot of interviews, and the medical doctor, this individual had diabetes. And the medical doctor over there, it was a transient doctor. It was because their dad had a stroke on the plane and they landed. I think this was Dr. Randy Johns, shared this on my podcast. And his dad had a stroke. They landed somewhere in South America or South Africa. But regardless, it was on an island. And the doctor that came said, your dad has diabetes. And they wasn't even being treated for it. And one of the solutions is you got to get your dad outside grounding, and that will really help your diabetes. So these things in America that we think are woo-woo are Eastern medicine truth, which has more anecdotal evidence, more timeline for healing than all the things we're doing here with all of our great medicine, where we're not going to outlive our grandparents, where our children are getting sicker at younger ages. Their minds, they're losing their minds, they're losing their bodies, they're losing control. And this is what we're faced with. This is why we got to really think about stop believing the lie. Now, the unfortunate part is you that are watching this probably already believe what I'm saying. So be inspired to speak up. Don't be mean. Don't tell them that you're an idiot for not eating grass-fed, grass-finished meat from a regenerative farm. Don't cross division, but slightly low. Be as gentle as a dove when you share this information, but it's true. Don't lose your fire. Don't lose hope. Surround yourself with a natural environment that's going to up-level your healing. Surround yourself with people that are amazing, that think like you. They're going to challenge you so that you adapt and become better, and you're going to become stronger. So the fastest way you can help this world is not by complaining about it. It's by putting yourself in a more non-toxic social environment, a more non-toxic living environment, a more non-toxic consumption environment, so that you elevate and people will see you shining like a light on a hill, and they're going to ask them, how are you so healthy? Why are you ripped and shredded without TRT, without outside interventions that we're using in longevity medicine? I just got my testosterone. I'm 50 years old. It was 800 a year ago. I'm at 450 now with no TRT and with not some of the biohacks I was doing before, like red lighting my stuff and doing DHEA and some other hacks, but I'm probably one of the most toxic guys on the planet, or used to be, right? And I'm still able to restore my testosterone naturally, which is anti-aging, because I removed the very endocrine disruptors like atrazine, like phthalates, like bisphenol and BPA, these life-robbing environmental endocrine disrupting toxins that are removing the hormones that we're now using as creams and injections and creating all this fanfare and people flexing and making teenagers who have low testosterone, by the way, it's like a 30% reduction over the last 30 years. It's a massive drop where some of them are actually getting on TRT by their doctors. because it's so low, because our infertility is dropping off. We're wearing plastic underwear. The research shows that it's 100% a contraceptive to your body. This old research that I read from the 90s, right?
Wow.
And the materials are made of plastic. There's energy there that disrupt this cell-to-cell communication that is one of the reasons it causes lower sperm count. And it's actually in this study as a potential method of action because it's synthetic. There is frequency around wool. There's frequency around linen that's similar to your body, and it either at higher or equal frequency. Cotton, 1800 megahertz, 800. I don't know the exact number. I think it's 800 megahertz or whatever the measure of energy is. And a plastic shirt that you're wearing right now is dead. It's dead frequency, and your body is frequency. If you don't think you're made of love and light, then you're completely missing the point of what's going on in this world. And we have these anti-nature, these toxic invaders coming in, robbing our energy, our vitality, and our longevity. If we continue in this, our children are going to get sicker and sicker. We're going to have less and less children. We're not going to have to worry about what Bill Gates is saying, because it's already happening. Like people that complain that, Bill Gates is, trying to kill everybody off and, all that stuff. Who cares what Bill's doing? It's a fact. It's here.
If you're a medical doctor, nurse practitioner, chiropractor, or other health expert that's stuck in a broken system, there's a better way. The Freedom webinar shows you a proven 5-step system to build a 7-figure virtual health practice, or how to modernize your current brick and mortar practice without the burnout. Learn to create high-ticket programs, automated income, residual revenue, and attract clients ready to work with you. Book your $1 million strategy session today by clicking the link in the description.
This is, it is crazy. 50% of kids have chronic diseases, and 40% of teenagers have mental illness, are depressed and have anxiety or something along those lines. You've got insane amounts of people that have chronic diseases as adults that it was unheard of to have people with diabetes back in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And now it's like, of course, everyone's got diabetes, or a lot of people do. So, and
it's
what
a
is
movement.
it, like one third of children have pre-diabetes or diabetes. Like it is crazy. So, there needs to be a shift and a change. And what you shared with, like, for instance, atrazine, it's in 65% of all drinking water, right? And it at the level that at higher levels than what the EPA is recommending is safe. And at lower levels, Tufts University has done studies showing that it actually changes the sex. At 10% of the frogs that were exposed to it in water, it actually causes gender bending to take place. And then in 50% of all the frogs, these African bullfrogs, it caused, infertility, which is crazy. So the next question is, hey, look, we should test this in humans. Well, no, we're not testing these in humans. We're just continuing to spray it all over the country, and it gets into the water system. 65% of Americans are being exposed to it. And, it's a sad state of affairs. And that's just one of the many toxins that are feminizing men and causing hormone dysregulation in women. And so, I love your thoughts around all of this, the things that what hit home to me in respect to what you just shared is that, you've got, I'm looking at this as a cotton hat, right? This is definitely a cotton hat, and you've got this Four Seasons hat, and it's all plastic. Like it's not linen or anything like that. It's all flex wear. And, there's
plastic.
It's two different energies. And you're saying that one is like an actual, it prevents conception and fertility. And,
Yep.
and one, doesn't, because of the energy of the actual material. Right?
Yeah, and they did the study on dogs and on men, and the cotton material, the wool material did not, right? Cause it was 100% of the males that wore the polyester sleeve, kind of like a jock strap, and it caused lower sperm counts and stopped conception, right? And then they did it on dogs, same study, male and female.
This is all like the plastic wear, right?
Yeah.
Like Lululemon, Viore, all that.
Yeah. Well, this was underwear, but same material, polyester. Yeah, polyester sling, polyester underwear on dogs and on female dogs, and the female dogs also. It's crazy. So these talk about, going in the wrong direction. I think longevity is super important. I want to talk about how this happens at the cellular level. We can get into telomere length and all of that, but there's some major mechanisms that I want to discuss. I mean, let alone the fact that it's hormone dysregulating, and our hormones in the longevity world, we're doing these bioidentical hormones. But why do we need this in the first place? We're not in nature. We're filling our bodies full of toxins. We're wearing plastic clothes and going to the gym and breathing mold, because there's no regulations on mold inside of buildings where there needs to be. We're regulating the wrong things. We're regulating to make money, not to make people healthy. So let me say that again. Our regulations aren't for making you healthy. They're for making people money. The hospitals, the drugs, the vaccine schedules, whether you believe in it or not, it's there for cash flow and and that's it. That's the main driver. If you think any different, it makes no sense, because the data isn't there. These are diseases that are 1 in a billion or 1 in multi-million, and it's not going to take out America. And what's taking out America is happening right now. Like, we're getting sicker and sicker with all this greater medicine and more surgeries that's driving this economic engine. And at some point it needs to stop. So let's talk about toxins. That's what we're here to talk about. We're not talking about the root cause. I think we got you all excited and fired up that this is real. And so what are gerontogens? These are things that cause rapid aging. This is a longevity event. And if you want to anti-age quickly, remove these toxins from your life.
And I'll just say on that, you're such a good point, because everyone's talking about take this supplement, do this thing, get this technology done. If you don't listen to this episode, you're not going to actually get rid of the root cause of why people age rapidly. Would you agree, Warren?
I want 1,000%. And a matter of fact, a lot of these cherries on top for your longevity, and I do them, right? Because I push hard and I don't use them enough, but I use my sauna, right? Because I can't go outside and sweat. You could go outside and sweat, it's free. But I have a deviated septum in my nose and I don't breathe well. So I'm using an oxygen chamber as, it's a hyperbaric chamber, right? And with a little bit of extra oxygen. You don't even need that if you learn how to breathe, right? You can go outside and do breath work. You can do Wim Hof. There's lots of different greats, and you could oxygenate your body that way. You can cause hormesis by shocking your body, which is kind of like how hyperbaric works, by jumping in a cold plunge or taking a cold shower. So you don't even need these fancy biohacks, because you can do a lot of these things for free, right? You can go outside and ground and do it for free. You can change your diet. Taco Bell and McDonald's, if you're still eating that stuff, you can make the same stuff at home for the same amount, right? And even if you are spending your money at, say, Chipotle, which is health washing, by the way, because it's not organic, but you can make 5 times the amount of food for the same price at $12 at the non-organic way. So there's foundational changes you need to do. And so you have to live your life around the fact that we've evolved or have been created to be in a divine synergy and symphony with nature. And the further you're getting away from that and making choices that are away from that, the more there's going to be a consequence, right? Now, I get it. If I'm 95 and I'm not able to function, and I might take TRT, which is going to decrease my life expectancy a little bit, but not much at that point, that's still an outside intervention. But to do it as a teenager, the consequences is infertility, right? The consequence to your lifespan is going to be great, because it's happening over a long period of time and it's really hard to get off. That's an outside-in approach to longevity. You teach this kid about resistive exercise and and burst training and things he can handle to spike his growth hormone 500% and testosterone, because they can handle it, because their mitochondria are still healthy. Well, let's hope so. We can talk about one of the causes of aging is cellular toxicity disrupting mitochondria and mitochondrial energy. These toxins disrupt enzymes that your mitochondria, these what some call them like these ancient bacteria, but they're bacteria-like engines inside of our bodies that produce this massive amount of energy, that run our detoxification, that run our hormone production, that run our brain function, that, you know, are the very centers of all energy and light being produced in our body. And we can feed it with sunshine, we can feed it with food, but when we're feeding it with toxins, it's a Trojan horse going into the cell and wreaking havoc and destroying that cell. And once it's in there, it's like Troy, the movie Troy. It's like once it gets in there, these spread inside and shut down the very fabric of who we are in humanity and kill us. And that's, I hate to say that word, but they are, like in the movie, they're destroying the cell, driving. This is how you age, is when these toxins get into the cell, when they're disrupting your cell. It's like, okay, fortress is down, the Trojan got in, we have to shut down this city and produce a new city. And it's driving what's called cellular senescence. And your cells can only destroy the city so many times before you have a bunch of broken down cities that can't rejuvenate. These are dead, useless cells in your body. And that's when you get so many of them, you die, right? It drives that aging process, and toxins drive aging that way, by driving cellular senescence, forcing your body to kill off the cell because it can't function. It's going to lead to cancer, and it's dysfunctional. It's not adding value. Your body's smart. It's adapting. You put it in a bad environment. You put it in a home with brand new carpets, with building materials that you shouldn't have, with couches you shouldn't have, with paint you shouldn't have. And it's just aging you slowly inside of the very walls that are meant to protect you and your family. And they're driving an aging process at the cellular level that you can't see, creating cells senescent cells at a rapid rate, to the point where your body's aging cells go up, worthless cells in your body that can't produce mitochondria, that can't drive hormonal processes through ATP, that can't drive detoxification for your body, that are sitting there, that are worthless and useless cells. That's true aging at the cellular level.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. And honestly, like, this is at the core of why people are dealing with, I believe, rapid aging, right? You can get Botox, and it's just like, if you're already toxic, yeah, it'll cause your skin not to wrinkle anymore in certain areas, but, you know, it does cause muscular atrophy and, you know, botulism toxin, or whatever it's called, which is,
that's right, botulism toxin A, I think.
Yeah, it does. It is a toxin. It stops the nerves from working, blocks the nerves. But
it's a poison. Like if you get it in canning, that's the same toxin. Remember, say, oh, be careful with canning, you could die. That's a botulism toxin. And if you eat the food, it'll kill you, right? It's in a small amount, they're injecting it, and there's all kinds of consequences to that. And a lot of them are saying that it is building up in your body, that it is leading to, linked to certain diseases now. So it's not a get out of jail free card by any means.
Yeah. And, you know, with the bucket analogy of toxin overload, it's like everyone has different sized genetic buckets that they can have certain tolerances for the amount of toxin that they get exposed to. So, you know, maybe the Botox isn't that big of a deal for some people that have a larger genetic capability to handle toxins, but a lot of people, our buckets are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so we want to look at anything and everything that's going to mitigate, you know, the overflow of that bucket. So just out of curiosity, as a quick question, what are your favorite clothing brands? What are your favorite like home brands of things? Like, you know, there are a lot of toxic, you know, hey, you go to IKEA is like, you know, essentially Chinese furniture that has a ton of petrochemicals in it and volatile organic compounds, but, you know, flame retardants, et cetera. But what are your top picks right now for what you would want to put on your body, you know, as far as like oils or face creams? What kind of clothes do you put on your body? And what do you like? I've been to your house. Warren's house is the most non-toxic, clean home in the world. Like the air is pure. The couches he, you know, orders, like, you know, from people that build it from scratch. Like, and I mean, it's just an incredible home. It's, I tell people that your house is like Iron Man's house. It's like, you know, all glass on the top of a hill looking over the city, in probably the best location in Salt Lake City. But, you know, what would you say? What would you say to that? Like, what could we practically do to address the clothing we're wearing, the underwear, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot of great brands out there, and I'll mention some, but I'll tell people how I got here. I was so sick that I when I was sick, I just didn't have carpet. I just didn't have a couch, right? And then when I got a couch, before I even moved out here, even when I moved out here, I had all used furniture from friends that I knew didn't have mold in their house, but just furniture that's off-gassed because I couldn't afford all the things like the custom furniture or the more expensive. Here's a great brand. It's called Medley. I'll give a shout out to them. They make really great non-toxic furniture at a relatively decent rate. You can also get furniture from overseas, from Italy, because they have much more stringent regulations, right? And you can get linen covers, and the foam that they use doesn't, aren't off-gassing because they're using feathers and things like that. So there's ways around this, but it takes time, right? It's not this quick fix. So if you can't have delayed gratification, you're never going to get ahead, right? You can't put this stuff on a credit card. You have to get it used at first. Yeah, it took me 20 years, but I lived essentially below the poverty level for quite some years when I was sick, and lived like that and made choices so that I could reinvest back into my passions, back into my businesses, back into individuals. So I could go to seminars. So I'd have, this stuff didn't exist. So I had to travel around the world, going to specialists and getting IVs and going $100,000 in debt to get my health, because your health is your greatest currency, right? It's when I look at my life and I look at my greatest weakness still to this day, it is my health. After attaining a lot of great health, even me, even you, Isaac, right? It's like you get fatigued and brain fogged. You're not as good as a parent. You're not as good to your staff and teams. You can't communicate on a webinar like this and bring more love and connection to the people on the other side through the tone in our voice and the expressions on our face. These are critical, and health robs that. Botox robs that too, by the way. I keep throwing Botox under the bus. So some really good brands out there that are global would be like Pact. They make a lot of organic clothing and they're scaling up. There's Nads makes really good organic cotton underwear. They've actually reached out to me. I have a bunch of brands reaching out to me. I have so many. I wish I had the list for my team, because there is a lot of good clothing brands out there. But there's even, oh shoot, like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, even though it's a little bit of a rough looking logo. But what does this say? What is this? This is a big brand.
It's a little dark.
Let's see. Bring it in closer.
I'm getting there.
Can I take my shirt off?
Do that again. It looks like
First
Saints.
letter.
Something Saints.
Oh yeah. Saint.
Is it Saints?
All Saints.
All Saints. Oh,
All
okay.
Saints has organic t-shirts, right?
Okay.
So there's Nads. There's Pact also makes underwear. There's Booty that makes really good, and they use a type of bamboo that isn't toxic. It's organic and it's lyocell, right? The processing of it, because regular bamboo, like some of these companies, as they scaled up and got bought out by investment groups, stopped using the more expensive mass-produced lyocell, and they use a different bamboo or non-organic toxic bamboo process that you don't want to have, right? It's just like toilet paper. Toilet paper is another massive toxin. They show that microplastics from recycled, specifically recycled, because when you recycle paper, it also has plastic in it. So it gets incorporated into the toilet paper, and you wipe it onto those tissues.
Oh my gosh, that's
and both
terrible.
in women and men, and throw in these microplastic particles, which I think is it's good. It's also causing massive aging, right? At the cellular level, inflammation, which drives hormone dysregulation, which drives aging and longevity. So toxins, if we get into toxins, it really is a crazy insanity process, because they shut down mitochondrial energy, right? You need mitochondria to drive glutathione, the detox, but then you're driving glutathione so much because of so much toxins, you have oxidized glutathione, which is oxidative to your body, and you need energy to reduce it back across through metabolic processes. So it takes energy. So toxins rob the very energy that your body needs to detox. It's a mitochondrial disease. It's a metabolic disease driving metabolic disease. So Medley's a good brand. I'm trying to think. All Saints, Booty, those are some of the big ones.
That's great. No, it's awesome. I love it. That's really, really awesome. I just want to give practical strategies for them to be able to integrate as well. So
here's the thing though. So
yeah.
if let's go practical before we go there. And I do want to give a piece for the premature aging on geronogens, just one more, like a major one that's in 70% of homes, and we'll go there in a second. But if you can if you can't afford organic, just get cotton. Make sure you wash it 3 to 4 times in like baking soda and sop in your don't wash any of your stuff in regular detergent. You can just use vinegar if you want, but use baking soda. You can even get washing soda. I have videos where I make this stuff at home. There's companies that are now selling homemade, powders because they send them to me, right? I can't remember the name. That's a new company. But you can make this stuff at home with baking soda, washing soda, and you can drop in some lemon essential oil to make it smell. You can do all this non-toxic living, but if you get just regular cotton, of course, it's still sprayed with pesticides. It's one of the most heavily sprayed crops on the planet.
Right.
So you can get used, right, stuff as well. Go to stuff that's been washed. You're going to have very little. So you can still get nice quality stuff and just get it used. Or when you get it, wash it with baking soda. Baking soda is great to wash things if it's gotten a mold exposure too. That's a great tip. Baking soda and borax as well, because it creates a real alkaline environment and it will kill mold.
Wow.
But you just wash these things a few times. Never wear brand new clothes. They spray it with chemicals because of pesticides and bugs and such when it's coming overseas. So they definitely spray the clothing because that's a commodity coming across and that's value. And if something happens, like worms and stuff can get into this stuff. So they spray this stuff with pesticides as well. So make sure you wash your clothes, get used clothes if you can't afford it. Organic brands. And not all organic's organic when it comes to organic clothing. I'm not gonna lie to you there, but organic clothing is better than non-organic. And then there's new companies that are actually getting it's almost like regenerative cotton and organic and the special dyes that aren't toxic and are natural. So there's a movement happening because of individuals like you. There's so many organic clothing lines, right? And I talk about them on my social media, but it's out there now. There's organic shoes. I mean, again, get back to nature, right? Just all leather shoes where your toes aren't getting smashed and over top and, wearing.
Which shoes are those?
There's lots of different brands of shoes, but you're essentially wearing like Native American moccasins if you want to ground to the earth. And, that gets a little bit unpractical, but there's a lot of shoe brands that at least have wide toe box. They're made of all leather. And then there's some funkier brands. I actually have a list and I can drop it in this podcast. It'll be in this summit. And I can drop a list. I'll send it over to you of the top shoes from best all the way down that we've collected.
Wow. That'd be amazing. No,
that'll be a great value. We don't have to talk about it here. So I can just drop it. I can drop clothing lines. I'll make sure I put that all together for the listeners.
That is so cool. Yeah. I love it. No, this is such an incredible topic. In closing, Warren, what would you say for gerontogens? How do we address these toxins? Obviously, we talked about, changing our clothing. We talked about, mitigating the toxins in your environment. But is there a way to actually get them out of your body? How did you go from 400 to 800 in your testosterone in a year? It sounds like all you did was just detox.
And then 800 back down to 450. But yeah, I'm doing some of those things. But it's interesting. When I was sick, I had very low testosterone and I didn't do anything but, right, maybe a little DHEA cream, but it was just detoxification, becoming more hormone sensitive, becoming more insulin sensitive, getting my metabolism, my metabolic cancer is a metabolic disease, right? So you can look that up and more doctors are talking about that. So the more you can get your metabolism, your mitochondrial function, reducing inflammation in your body, you become more hormone sensitive. So you can have testosterone, but your body needs to hear it, right? We're testosterone resistant. You can have high free T, but your body's not hearing it. You can have high thyroid hormone, which TSH doesn't do it for you, right? Because that's produced, I believe, in the pituitary or hypothalamus. Which one is that? Hypothalamus. But then you have that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it's being converted into reverse T3 or what your body needs to tell your body to produce energy. And it controls a lot of other hormones and even anti-aging hormones. So what I did was just optimize my hormones by removing the things that dysregulate them, right? So I cleaned up my home environment. I cleaned up my water. I cleaned up my air. And the number one toxin that's probably aging you on your skin is mold. Mold destroys your keratin and elastin in your skin and ages you rapidly on your skin. And 70% of you watching this have toxic levels of mold in your home. So this is a big toxin.
70%. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they say 50% of homes, 40% of homes have mold, but it's, if you looked at the healthy levels, it's 70% or more of homes, because it's mold's everywhere with how we build today, right? It's everywhere.
And it's even in,
And this is what experts say is 70%. So it's not just my opinion.
You don't need to smell it or see it. It's there, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
I've had two unfortunate, I had a toilet overflow that we had to do massive remediation, which costs tens of thousands of dollars to remediate, and like a good 4 months to remediate. And Warren helped me through that whole process. And then we had, another problem happen where a vent, got condensation, and then there was water dripping down a drywall. So the challenge is, even in this brand new house that we just built, like, a lot of people, they would be like, oh, it's okay. But I'm like, no, I want to rip out all that drywall. They're like, well, we don't see any mold, and we sprayed for the mold. I'm like, I don't care, because even a little moisture in the drywall is going to cause mold to form. And even if you can't see it, like, it can damage the health. So they went in over the last literally several days, and they were remediating kind of that area as well. So, it's serious, right? And I think there's a lot
serious.
There's a lot, even in our bathrooms, right? Like, there's mold oftentimes in our bathrooms, not proper ventilation. And so how do we get rid of these things?
Yeah. I mean, this is an overwhelming topic. I just talked about mold, and, it stops your production of keratin and elastin, so it's doing way worse than that, right? It's highly carcinogenic. It's immunosuppressive. It can trigger autoimmune. So it's also immunosuppressive. It causes cellular inflammation at the cellular level. It dysregulates hormones. It destroys mitochondria and your energy. And one person in the house could be healthy and the other person could be sick. So then it creates battles in homes. It ruins marriages. It tears families apart. It is
our emotions. You're right. Like,
yeah,
people go crazy with mold exposure and biotoxic exposure.
Make Swiss cheese of your brain. It can Swiss cheese of your gut, leading to more inflammation. So it's a process, and you can't fear it. And if your house is full of black mold, you might want to start renting, right? You got to make big decisions, but you can remediate this stuff over time. You can remove it to reduce your load. You can use air filters to knock down particles, because these biotoxins, which really have the massive effect on your body. So it's a neurotoxin, but it's produced from a living thing, versus a neurotoxin like mercury that's made from your amalgam fillings that go straight into your brain. Those are neurotoxins as well. Fragrance is a neurotoxin made from a chemical. So it's, man-made. Mercury is an inorganic substance, not man-made, but also a neurotoxin. Then you have a toxin like a biotoxin that's also all over our food, as well. Aflatoxins, there's mold on coffee. That's a big source of mold. So we have all these different sources. It's like, oh my gosh, what do we do? It's overwhelming. You have to make yourself strong as possible. Start with the major things that you do on a daily basis. And if I was going to start and I had mold in my house, I probably wouldn't worry about as much as my diet, but you also should, because it's knocking down inflammation on a daily basis, and you're getting inflamed by something you can't control at the moment. You can take special carbon. I have a product called True Carbon Cleanse that can bind in your gut and help relieve that, bind it up in the bile, so you're not recirculating these toxins through hepatic biliary recirculation, which is what they call it in the research. You can do like some of these mitigating strategies, but you have to figure out the mold, and you have to drop the humidity in your home, at least keep it below 50% for at least half of the day. It might raise up to 55 or 60, but keep it below 50 or below for a bulk of the day. And that's going to stop the mold from growing, because it needs water and food, and darkness, some of these things, because they're UV sensitive. So if you knock down the humidity in your house with the dehumidifier, if you use a air filter, which can trap the dust particles that the mold particles fly on, and also the biotoxins fly on. So if you can drop that all in your home, you're not breathing as much of this stuff, right? So it's
Yeah.
knocking down the insult on your body. So that helps. You're
And
knocking down the humidity so you have less of this stuff growing. And
uh-huh.
then you can identify the water leak. You can do a physical removal. You can wash your clothes. You can slowly switch out your bed if it got contaminated, because porous things you're going to have to get rid of, but you might not have to if you're not sick, right? If you just see mold and you want to live for longevity, then just remove it. You're going to live a lot longer than any other outside intervention you can do, because their biotoxins are so wicked in
Yeah.
aging you and driving cellular senescence and driving the aging process, not just on your skin, but at the cellular level, but it shuts down that keratin and elastin production in your skin. So you slowly, methodically, step by step, have to remove these toxins from your life. And biotoxins and mold in your home is a big one. Reduce the load, open your windows, do what you can, keep that humidity down. When you open those windows, especially in places where you live, like Georgia, you'll grow mold like crazy. So it's tough to avoid. We can't, all go live in the woods and be super healthy with the environment as we were designed, but we can reduce the ability for these toxins to grow. And there's better technologies like the mold fogging, but you have to remove the physical mold. Don't let someone say, hey, I'm just going to fog your house. You're going to be fine. The mold's going to grow again, and you're going to have the same problems you started with.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, it's I've taken all the precautions and the various water damage issues that we've had. But Warren, what do you think about the ozonating, like air purification systems that, shoot out ozone and then knock the mold particles down out of the air?
Yeah, those are effective strategies. Don't be in the home. They're ozone, and it's a hydroxyl group. This technology has been around for a while. You can actually buy these and stick them into your HVAC system above the coil. And so they're constantly oxidizing and killing the mold on the coil. So those are very effective. And they're not at a high enough level where they're going to get into your house and cause oxidative stress, right? So those are really effective. And if you use those types of filters in your home that drop the toxins, kind of ionize them and drop them to the floor, then you need to vacuum, of course, because now those toxins are on the floor and your kid's walking around and you can kick it up again. So you're going to have to vacuum. So they are effective. So it's a combination of those things. I would make sure, if you have an HVAC unit, I would get one of those hydroxyl producing UV lights. They do both to keep your
Yeah.
coil from getting moldy. Run your fan all the time so you dry off the coil, because if you don't dry off the coil and there's dust on there, that becomes food. Now you have water. It's all water because it's essentially a dehumidifier. It's what it is. That's why you should run your air conditioning when you leave, because you want to dehumidify your home. If you don't, you're going to grow mold. It's going to be a hot, humid environment. So make sure you keep your house at at least 78 degrees so that you can keep that humidity down. If you're traveling, you come home, if you're leaving at 85, you're going to have mold growing in your house. It only takes 24 hours for mold to grow. So yes, those filters can be effective. If you're using ozone, it can kill mold, but it also is oxidative. It's oxidative stress to your body. So don't run that when you're in there. But if it's a hydroxyl group, which is also oxidative, don't breathe it directly, but that can be really effective for killing mold, and even reducing some VOCs if it's depending on the catalyst that they're using.
Wow. Dude, you're incredible. This is amazing. I would love to know what your actions are for us. Where could we go to learn more about what you do? How can we follow you? And, maybe get even your product.
Yeah, so on social, the movement and that we're creating is on Non-Toxic Dad, and we're partnering with other influencers and crunchy moms, around the nation. We really want to create a movement where non-toxic living becomes the new cool, the new keto, if you will. So
Yeah.
please help us there. And a lot of the people watching this are geniuses. They're being right on regenerative farming. Get your microbiome, clean, because if it's a microbiome in your body is the same as the microbiome out there, affects your epigenetics, it affects your microbiology and your connection and your hormones to your brains. They're just the people out there that know all that stuff. So join the movement, nontoxicdad.com on all social, obviously .com, and share and listen to this information, ask questions, share your beautiful knowledge and wisdom. You might not have the resources to do things like this and put the time and effort into social media, but I'm honoring you and thanking you for all the things that you're doing, because you're part of the the solution, right? You're not a problem on this planet. You're part of the solution. You're beautiful souls. And I will, as Isaac always says, any way we can serve you, we're here. And as far as products, yes, I have a detoxification products, patented, real products that make a difference in people's lives, that aren't inviting toxins into your body. A lot of these products are contaminated. We have patents around all this stuff to support you. You can check that stuff out. One of the products is Cyto Detox, and another one's True Carbon Cleanse. But ultimately, guys, what I want you to do is to slowly and methodically make a choice, even if it's one a week or one a month, of removing a toxin from your life, whether it's all the things that have fragrance, right? The water that you're doing, saving up for that air filter. Like, just methodically move your life towards a non-toxic lifestyle and make choices, because you have a choice. And you can either make excuse not to make the choice and not get the outcome that you want, or choose the life that you want and slowly and methodically choose a non-toxic lifestyle. And yes, you can use some products to help you along the way, but the biggest thing is reducing those sources. And any way we can help, we're here for you.
Amazing. Warren, thank you so much. Go follow Non-Toxic Dad and, check out his products. I think they're going to be transformative for you, as they have been for me, as well as so many other people that have taken them. It's a toxic world that we live in, and we need the products that will help us, address these issues. So thank you for all the scientific research you've done around this, Warren. We didn't even get into that today. You have done research behind it. You've studied, hours and years of your life has gone into research and understanding how to do this. You've ran some of the most successful clinics with, different doctors around the country. And you've certainly created a movement. So appreciate you, and looking forward to getting this out to as many people as we can.
Love you, brother. Thank you, Dr. Jones. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Longevity Leaders podcast. Our Longevity Leaders community is on mission to transform 100 million lives by 2040. If you enjoyed this show, please share this with somebody that you know, especially another doctor or physician, but also click that follow button. Until next time, stay strong and live long.